row, the protection that he needed, and has opened up the holes, and I'm sure as Terry will tell us, we've had a good balanced attack both in the air and on the ground.
And I think it all boils down once again to that line play, playing with some confidence and playing obviously a bigger offensive front than Hendersonville's defensive front, and those kids just getting the job done.
And now Reeder will come in at quarterback. All he's going to do is kneel down a couple of times as he's got three backs behind him to make sure he doesn't drop the ball. He kneels the first time, and 30 seconds remain in this ball game. Hendersonville possibly could stop the clock. I doubt that they would try. So looks like Hendersonville is going to end up on the short side this week. Both teams, Tommy, will be 1-1, but the Blue Devils a little bit better off because they're now will come out 1-0 in the district.
1-0, and this is the important game. Bob Dillard said during the week he would certainly trade a win against Columbia for a win here against Hendersonville. The Blue Devils come away with a victory, 32-7. Bob Dillard's first win as the head coach of the Blue Devils. Bob Dillard gets that win, and that's got to be a tremendous feeling for Dillard, the head coach of the Blue Devils, as he's able to get the bad taste of last week's loss out of his mouth, and they're able to enjoy that victory tonight as they knock off Hendersonville by a score of 32-7. We'll be back with the Bob Dillard Show and the wrap-up of the stats with Terry Stafford in just 1 minute.
The post-game show with head coach Bob Dillard and your field reporter, John Bryant.
Welcome to the post-game show. I'm your host, John Bryant. The post-game show is brought to us by Tim Bennett Insurance, Century 21, Steve Jones, College Street Church of Christ Youth Ministry, Greg Brothers Car Wash, and Chum's Convenience Store. Coach Bob Dillard here, head coach of the Lebanon Blue Devils. First victory as the Blue Devil head coach. How's it feel?
Well, I'm just, I can't begin to describe how happy I am for our young men. They deserve this. They've worked hard to earn this, and I just, words can't express how proud I am of these guys.
Tell you what, Coach, the O-line this week really blew Hendersonville out.
Well, we felt like after the way we blocked last week that that was one of our weaknesses, and we just challenged those guys this week in practice, and they responded well to it and did a good job tonight.
Obviously had the team fired up. That showed on the opening kickoff.
Well, you know, that's true. I felt like after we met this afternoon at 2 o'clock that we were ready to play. You know, you can just look, you can see it in those guys' eyes, and we were ready, and we come out and had some good things happen to us early, which I think was very important, and I'm just tickled for these guys.
At one time tonight, Jason Reeder was 6 of 6.
Well, you know, Jason, we felt like all along that if we can get Reeder time to throw the football, that he can get it to people, and we didn't do that last week, but our offensive line, like I said, did a good job this week, and they give Reeder plenty of time to throw the football, and he threw it to people.
Once again, the defense played a great game. There at the end, we obviously had our second and third units in, and they chose to keep their first units in. All in all, though, our defense played a great game.
Well, that's true. I was proud of our defense. I was proud of their effort they gave us last week. And, you know, we told those guys that, you know, they did a good job last week, but we still gave up 10. And you know, we can't accept that as perfect. So we challenged those guys, too. And you know, we wanted to get our subs in because, you know, this late in the game, if they score, it really doesn't make any difference. And we just wanted to make sure none of our guys got injured.
Speaking of injuries, any injuries tonight that you know of?
Not to my knowledge. Brad Dedman rolled an ankle a little bit, but it's not anything serious. Damon Pitt busted his nose a little bit. It may be broke, I don't know, but Pitt comes out and he says, "Coach, I'm bleeding like a hog." He says, "You got to get it stopped." So we got it stopped, and he says, "I'm ready to go back." So, you know, that's the kind of effort it's going to take for us to be successful.
Coach, next week we got Mount Juliet coming to town.
Well, you know, that's a big ball game. It's a big county rival, and it was always big before it became a region ball game. But now that they're in our region, it's big, sure enough.
Once again tonight, the first win as the Lebanon head coach, first regional win of the year, which is huge and big. I remember last week you were talking to Coach Hutto about how many times you've talked about swapping that first week victory for a region victory, and that's what you did.
Well, that's true. You know, we're sitting 1-1 right now, and I'd a whole lot rather be 1-1 losing to Columbia than 1-1 and beating Columbia and losing to Hendersonville. So, you know, we're sitting 1-0 in the region, and that's where we need to be.
Coach, I'll let you get back to your players. I know you're excited and want to get with them. Congratulations on the big win, and good luck this week in practice.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
That's been the post-game show with my guest, Coach Bob Dillard, the head coach of the Lebanon Blue Devils. The post-game show is brought to you by Tim Bennett Insurance, Century 21 Macon Realty, and Steve Jones, College Street Church of Christ Youth Ministry, Greg Brothers Car Wash, and Chum's Convenience Stores. Back up to Terry for the wrap-up on the stats.
Thank you, John, as Lebanon gets their first victory of the season tonight here in Hendersonville, defeating the Commandos 32-7. I'm Terry Stafford with the final stats. Taking a look at the scoring recap, Lebanon got on the board early as Joel Griffin took the opening kickoff, went 89 yards for a touchdown. The extra point was no good. 11:47 into the game, Lebanon led 6-0. Lebanon scores again in the first quarter, 9:23 left. Elliott Carson, a 53-yard touchdown pass reception from Jason Reeder as Lebanon goes 76 yards in only 2 plays. The extra point was no good. Lebanon led 12-0. Lebanon scores again in the first quarter, this time 34 seconds left in the first quarter. Jade Sellers, a 15-yard pass, touchdown pass from Jason Reeder as Lebanon goes 15 yards in 1 play. Lebanon decides to go for 2. Joel Griffin runs into 2-point conversion, and at the end of the first quarter, Lebanon has piled up a 20-0 lead. The scoring in the second half, this time Lebanon in the third quarter, 1:23 left in the third quarter. Brooks Cherry, a 4-yard touchdown pass reception. Lebanon going 77 yards in 8 plays. The 2-point conversion pass failed. Lebanon led 26-0 at that time. In the fourth quarter, this time with 7:12 left in the fourth quarter, Luke Shepard, a 4-yard touchdown run as Lebanon goes 35 yards in 7 plays. The extra point was no good, and Lebanon led at that point 32-0. Hendersonville avoided the shutout with 33 seconds left in the game. Matt Case, a 36-yard touchdown pass reception. Hendersonville going 69 yards in 5 plays. John Carmack added the extra point, and that's our final score tonight as Lebanon defeats Hendersonville 32-7. Taking a look at the stats first for the host Hendersonville Commandos, 138 yards rushing on 38 carries through the air, 95 yards passing on 6 of 13, 1 touchdown, 1 interceptions. Total yards for Hendersonville, 233. First downs, Hendersonville with 10 first downs, 8 rushing, 2 by passing. Turnovers, Hendersonville turned the ball over 3 times, 2 fumbles, and 1 interception. Individually for Hendersonville on the ground tonight, Matt Miller, 2 carries, -7 yards. Trey O'Donohoe, 18 carries, 74 yards. Jake Resham, 12 carries, 47 yards. Don Lefevre, 5 carries for 18. Gary Bruce, 1 for 6. That's 38 carries, 138 yards for Hendersonville. Through the air, Matt Miller, 6 of 13, 95 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. For Lebanon tonight, 30 carries, 174 yards on the ground. Passing tonight, 111 yards on 7 of 8 passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Total yardage in the game for Lebanon, 285 yards. First downs, Lebanon with 12 first downs, 7 rushing, 4 by passing, and 1 via the penalty. That's 12 first downs. Lebanon turned the ball over 1 time, that being a fumble. Individually tonight for Lebanon, Jason Reeder, 3 carries for 1 yard. Bo Grissom, 7 carries, 38 yards. Chris Stafford with a big night, 13 carries, 92 yards. Joel Griffin, 1 carry for 12. Jade Sellers, 1 for 23. Luke Shepard, 3 carries, 7 yards. Damian C., 1 carry for -2. And Titus Kelly, 1 carry for 3 yards at 30 carries, 174 yards tonight for Lebanon on the ground. Jason Reeder, a good night passing, 7 of 8, 111 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's 111 yards passing, 174 on the ground, 285 total yards for Lebanon tonight. Tommy, an impressive and important win for Lebanon as they start reaching play 1-0.
And folks, the most comprehensive stat report in all of high school football, Terry Stafford. Thank you, Terry. And Sam, a great win tonight for Lebanon. It's going to make that week of practice so much more fun for those Blue Devils.
Well, 2 things you can look at tonight that I do. One, we were talking about the line play. The tailback getting a lot of yards is good, but when your fullback comes up with 38 yards on 7 carries, your line is doing a good job of just blowing people away. And the other thing, too, the Blue Devils put up 32 points on the scoreboard. They had 6 touchdowns, but somebody different scored each touchdown, so the team is contributing as a whole.
I tell you what I really liked was the fact that we put these guys away early. 20 points in the first quarter, got the game out of question, and Lebanon just took command, and once they got Hendersonville by the throat, that was it. And great effort. Congratulations to Bob Dillard on his first win. Lebanon now will prepare for Mount Juliet next week, a home game. The Bears will roll in for a 7:30 football game. Of course, we'll have the TV tape delay for you on Lebanon Cablevision 3. We hope you've enjoyed this broadcast. We've had a lot of fun bringing it to you. For John Bryan down on the field, for Dwight Phillips and Jeff Vaught up here working the cameras and the equipment, Terry Stafford on the stats, Sam Axley on the play-by-play. I'm